Good old Oxford, comma, blues. Charles, how are you?
Excellent poster, as always, and excellent thumbnail.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, and I feel I look like I suppose, a boiled frog, but I also feel like one, from the standpoint that I was somebody who was very excited about voting in my first presidential election, and I took the idea of a participatory electoral process as being really the final decision on the given election. Now we learn that Obama and his collection of puke heads uh, decided that they were just going to install Hillary Clinton as president. And then when that didn't work, they've been working ever since to hobble the Trump administration and to frustrate the will of the people, all the while touting that their efforts are saving our democracy. And everyone has his or her own boiling point. I'm past mine. This is outrageous stuff. Jim Comey is an idiot, a dangerous idiot, and he was given way too much power. The question, I think one needs to do a huge deep dive into the various people who found themselves on top of this Oxford comma blues and Crossfire Hurricane and other conspiracies. How did all these people get vetted? How did their obvious problems and issues get swept under the rug? Who is picking these losers and then making them winners? And how much does this cost the American people? There are some dangerous actors, for example, in China, who know the history well of how principally the UK, but also the US, coursed opium through the veins and blood and population of China, keeping uh, hundreds of millions of Chinese people effectively hostage to opium and other drugs, destroying that country not in for a year, but for decades, even centuries. And some of those people have long memories and say turnabout's fair play. Eventually, the U.S. is punching well above its population weight on the world stage. Um, we're China. We're huge. We're going to be bigger. And we're going to teach these motherfuckers a lesson. So it's all about riots. It's about fentanyl. It's about corruption. It's about rigging elections. And we'll do this to our heart's content. And we will find miserable human beings like Obama and Brennan and Comey and many others who are prepared to sell America out for a small pound of flesh, um, and hope to hasten our downfall as a nation. And look around the cities. Look around New York. The many walkarounds you and I did. Those protests that happened with a cowbell 60 seconds after television announcement, people jumping with joy that Biden, in theory, won the 2020 election. People docilely following the dictates of uh, uh, Anthony Mengele Fauci. Um, and now we're finding out that the election of 2020 certainly was stolen. That COVID was not at all as lethal as the experts said it was in an effort to uh, create the conditions where you could steal the election. This on top of multiple foreign misadventures brought to you by the deep state, by supposed experts who have access to classified information that we can't see and can sell us on threats that they're eradicating and tell us about victories they've won in the quiet of the night. Um, and we're teetering now on 40 trillion of known debt. We have a brainwashed youth sector of the population, one dumber than the next.
But Charles, let me stop you
We
for
have
1 second because you've brought up an important thing, and one of your favorite things to do is contrast. So,
right.
in the case of COVID, we had, the mainstream media, Chris Cuomo, everybody from NBC, CBS, New York Times, anybody who spoke out in opposition to anything that was the sort of mainstream status quo, was deemed a kook and a
Right.
conspiracist and whatever. And so they amplified what really had no scientific basis. And then here we are almost 1 month since Trump had this address, July 16th, 2026. Trump address may focus on the 2020 election, but yet nothing has happened with this. It wasn't widely reported. I mean, we're seeing right before our eyes how this machine can manufacture, air quotes, truth from fiction and suppress the real truth. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah, and this as well. I mean, I tell this story many times, but back at Yale, my senior year, when I was in this program called the Scholar of the House program that doesn't exist anymore, where you don't take classes, you just have to do an equivalent of a master's level paper, or if it's an art project, whatever. Um, I had to get a lot of resources out of the library, the main library. And back then, to do that, you had to go to a card catalog, which is a physical card catalog. You had to try to find, there was no search function. You had to try to find books that you thought might be interesting or sources. Then you look in the card catalog,
Dewey
you give,
Decimal.
yeah, and then you go up into the stacks and try to find the book, these gigantic bookshelves, floors and floors of it. Maybe the book is there, maybe the book isn't there. And you can only take the book out of the library for 2 weeks. So physically, then you have to cart these books to your room or wherever you're going to study. And then you have to go back and with a sob story if you want more time on the book and this and that. So back then, to write a paper, to do an analysis of the type that you do in an hour now, we do in an hour or less, was impossible. So how ironic is it that we have tremendously powerful tools that could be used to go back up and solve unsolved mysteries or reconsider solutions to past problems that might be more efficient or better, otherwise better. That instead of that, we've agreed to dumb down, or we're consenting to the dumbing down of the Western world. People's attention spans have been manipulated down to 30 seconds, 20 seconds of TikTok videos. Uh, female college graduates, a choice profession is being an OnlyFans model as opposed to doing something actually productive for society. Um, we have once great universities elevating that moron, Ghanaian English of Ghanaian ancestry moron on a series of wild stories into a tenured professorship at Cambridge, and how many other people like him are there around the world? So yeah, you could argue, not just because you have been so centrally involved in it, that crowdsourcing the truth is a function that's vital to getting America and the West back into fitness to compete on world stage. Instead, we're just, watching as children spout bromides that are just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if you saw this video, but, and I don't know if it's true, but I saw some video of AOC freezing her eggs.
Yeah, I was just showing that. And it's like, wait a minute. This is the most bizarre, because like this is what happens when an AOC, like, show your boobs on the internet style chick starts worrying about having kids. She's like, why? What? Isn't this the most like personal? Like, why is she doing this on the internet? And she's happy about it.
It's absurd. Isn't she engaged?
I don't know. Where's the red guy? Yeah. Why is she saving these eggs? And what is she waiting for? Like, also, this is not, what does she do? This is not hot at all. This is just like, what?
Hot. This is
Yeah.
a this is
It's
a
bizarre.
boner destroyer. I
It's
mean,
just, to me, this is a cry for help. This is, all making fun of her aside, I'm a little sad for her. I mean, I've known women who have gone through this process, and it's often very difficult. They're making this decision because maybe things haven't worked out. I mean, to me, this says she's not marrying the guy and she's worried about her future as a mother. Having kids is a whole difficult thing that I have not, it's very
well,
personal stuff. It's just weird to me that she's putting it on the internet.
well, it's weird that the mainstream, what is left of the Democrat Party, would believe that this person has accomplished enough to credibly be
Right.
put out there as the standard bearer for the Democratic Party and maybe the leader of a country that is beset by all kinds of challenges, domestic and foreign. Why would you select this person?
Very
I mean,
weird.
it says to me that the election system is still rigged, very much so. And the Democrats are counting on that, notwithstanding the fact that Hillary Clinton is warning about the dangers posed to the Democratic Party by DSA policies, of all people.
Maybe Hillary
You
Clinton will be the surrogate for AOC's baby, and an alien will shoot out of that polluted womb.
know, has a reptilian invaded your body there?
It'll be
What's
like
going
that
on?
scene. What is it where John Hurt is like, "Oh, this lunch is delicious," and then the alien shoots. This is like Rosemary's Baby, AOC's baby.
I mean, but it's just watching this from quite a distance away. I see on the one hand the nerve, the nerve of whoever of McCabe and his team opening this investigation into a sitting president who had fired, Comey, presumably for good cause. I mean, it's like the time the guy we did fire, who was the first manager of our Irish private equity fund, said to my colleague Chris Brady, co-founder of Chart Group, if I didn't work for you, I'd fire you. Yeah, that's exactly right. You're fired, bub, because you do work for me, and I'm going to fire you. I mean, what right did McCabe have to open this investigation? I mean, what that says to the world, who knows about it at the time, is that the president is subservient to the FBI. It's ridiculous.
Doesn't it
Absolutely
doesn't it
ridiculous.
put the whole integrity of the United States as a country, like it's a comedy
Right.
show. No, who's in charge? You've said this many times about the comedy of errors that's going on in Iran right now. I mean, if the FBI can oust the president over nonsense that obviously any competent intelligence organization in Russia, China, wherever is going to know this is all crazy, what the hell is going on over there in the United States? Why should we listen to anything that anybody there says?
And layer on top of that Eric Ciarmella. We couldn't say his name. Some punk, a few years out of college, is on the staff of Joe Biden, and it gets the president of the United States impeached. And we can't discuss his name. We can't, in real time, we couldn't bring up his name. You were canceled if you did that. You couldn't, ask questions about was he a legitimate whistleblower? He wasn't on the conversation. Who did leak the conversation?
I mean,
The
isn't that an
conversation.
unprecedented thing, Charles, in your life? Did you ever think the United States there would be? I mean, this is like the Soviet Union, 1970.
All right, it's preposterous. Now, it is good that the Pulte has fired a whole bunch of people in the intelligence, in the deep state, like a large percentage have been fired. But it's not enough just to fire them. People who've been abusing the system, and I think they've been doing it not merely because they don't like Trump or they don't like Republicans. I think they're doing it because very smart traders, and I would spell that word Traders and also Traitors. Um, Speculators understand that when you take stability and create instability in a country, you create an opportunity to make a lot of money, much more money than you can make in equity, right? Because you can make highly leveraged bets that the values of debt in sovereign debt in the country will plummet. And if you know that's going to happen because you're going to bring the government down, um, as a speculator, you could make a ton of money. And then, God forbid, if the United States government or other governments is doing the same thing, what happens to those profits? How much of that money gets funneled into slush funds that then can be used to finance the lifestyles of a Bernie Sanders? The great populist who has to fly private jets and owns 3 homes, or B. Rock Obama on the four-mansion program, or Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton on the mega $1 million property program, fighting for you, the people. This is so I don't understand why Trump is fucking around, frankly, in Iran and outside the country on projects that are much higher degree of difficulty to solve than projects like reforming the slush fund industry, which is today known as the tax-exempt nonprofit organization empire that sits on top of about $15 trillion in assets. Why isn't that an immediate thing to reform? And the bad answer is because people around Trump have said, "Now wait a minute, B-Rock got $1 billion. Why don't we try for $1 trillion in the same trick?"
What we should talk about Iran, Charles. It doesn't seem to be going, every day we're hearing. I saw one of these videos that you must have been referring to with Scott Bessent, who is confidently saying that the future of the Strait of Hormuz is never going to be the same again because it's going to be open. But that doesn't seem to be the case, does it?
Well, remember this issue that Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea. How do you go bankrupt? Slowly then suddenly.
Right.
What Bessent may know, and we have to assume, the left likes to assume that the people in charge when they're Republicans are idiots and don't know anything.
Right.
Then they put real idiots in
Exactly.
and say, "Oh no, these people are
idiots
geniuses.
know something.
These idiots walk on water.
Yeah.
Let's create a new religion around them." I mean, Bessent, from what I know, I don't know him personally, but from what I know of him, is a very shrewd investor. And he does sit now on top of the apparatus that is constricting the economy of Iran. Now, Iran and the Middle East in particular are places where smuggling is in the lifeblood of the region. And no sanction is 100% effective. There's always somebody who's willing to pay a price to get the commodity out of Iran that it needs, and they figure out a way to do it one way or another. So that said, Bessent is calmly and resolutely sticking to his guns that the Iranian economy is finished. And there will come a moment where we're going to find out if that's true or not. The hope was that there would be some kind of revolution that would displace the IRGC and displace the mullahs and lead to perhaps a secular, peace-loving, prosperity-loving government in Iran. Now, that said, somebody on my X feed has a report. I'm going to have a hard time doing this, but I'm going to try to explain it, of a husband and wife team where the wife was a doctor in Iran. And the regime found out that they were helping protesters get treated outside of the hospital system. They were treating wounded protesters in their home. So allegedly, the IRGC went into the home of this couple to arrest the man. The woman tried to stop the arrest, so the IRGC thug shot her dead in the head. That wasn't enough. They kept the husband alive. They then raped the corpse, gang raped the corpse in the morgue, filming it, and made the husband watch it. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if it's true.
That sounds outrageous. I don't know.
Well, no, it sounds like the kind of thing you would do if you're terrified and you have no principles and you want to retain control of a regime where you're basically keeping the population at bay and raping and stealing as much money as you can get. I'm not saying obviously I don't defend the behavior of the IRGC, but that's who we're dealing with it. And I've said from the outset, any solution, if you want to start dropping munitions on the IRGC, any solution that leaves the IRGC in place is a failure, right? You were either right to decide that you couldn't negotiate with them and that you had to remove them with force, or you were wrong at the time that you made the decision. We decided to try to remove them, and they're still there. So don't tell me that this is a victory. Don't tell me that we're low keying it, as apparently Trump said, to Axios. And again, anything reported by Axios, I don't trust. So I don't know if he really said that. I actually doubt he would say something like that. But at this minute, with each passing day, we look stupider and stupider in Iran and over Iran, and we have now reports of high-level military officers in back channels to the IRGC trying to find an off-ramp. Well, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, yeah, they have no authority to do that. And if Hegseth authorized this, which I highly doubt, if he did, he needs to go. We can't have the world believe, or let's put it this way: the United States can't be spending 1 trillion, 1.5 trillion, as we have done officially for a long time on the military, and find ourselves in a place where we can't defeat people who torture, brutalize, and have kept locked down their own people since 1979. Why is it that the United States in our own backyard can't solve the situation in Cuba? But before we get it, you asked me to talk about Iran. I mean, I think our foreign challenges are bad and may be insoluble, but there's no domestic problem that we can't fix, that Trump couldn't fix if he wanted to. So these cabinet meetings where people go around the table and say, "Fearless leader, you're doing such a great job in this area, and look what I did over here." And look, fentanyl is still a problem. Our educational system is a joke. We're not even really talking about the degree to which the powerful new AI systems are going to make it less interesting, frankly, to invest the time and energy to train the chowderheads who are coming out of these universities, the entitled chowderheads, and could put us in a position where, yes, certain engineering, math, science people are going to do really well and maybe become instant mega millionaires. But if you're a C student in gender studies, short of working on AOC's presidential campaign, you're unemployable in today's reality.
It's a very troubling state of affairs, Charles. We really, and Trump is here posting on Truth Social, really just like a retired guy. He's like, "Oh, inflation by president." I mean, you just spoke about some of the domestic problems. I mean, what about all the issues with lawfare? I mean, it's mostly been posturing, right? He had this fund that Todd Blanche just threw to the wind because it seemed like some political horse trading to get him approved as the Attorney General in the Senate. We are going after Comey for arranging shells when we discover that the FBI is essentially a rogue agency operating without accountability. It seems like somebody could put together a case for treason or insubordination, or he's just missing the plot.
Yeah, and the FBI is one of many agencies. I mean,
right.
Do we really need? Last count, there were 17 supposedly intelligence agency. Why do we need 17? Why not 117 or 7 or 1? I mean, why 17? I don't get it. And who actually sits on top of the intelligence agencies? Who do you go to when they go rogue?
Oh my God. He's advertising a drone port on the top of the White House. I wonder if any of the contracts for these drones will go to companies. I mean, look, I don't want us to be, you can do whatever you want. I'm not wanting or telling you to do or say anything, Charles. I'm just saying, what is Trump doing with Don Jr. and the 1789 Capital Fund, and Eric is investing in drones, and now you got Hunter Biden going on Tucker Carlson talking about all this stuff. We've got to take a break right here for a minute, Charles, because we're going to make our way over here to the First Amendment Forum. I appreciate everybody who sponsors the show. You can join us on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I've been experimenting with 4K, Charles, but it blows out the data plan and it's making more expenses of all kinds that people might not realize. So thanks to everybody who sponsors the show and makes that type of stuff possible. Become a sponsor if you